It appears that John has started the recording now, so it is almost 2 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and get going. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll try to answer them as they show up, or you can also just unmute and ask. That's fine. I have no problem with you interrupting me on that. We're a small group here, less than 20 people, so it's not much of a problem. First, I'm going to talk about video conference platforms. There are several of them out there, and we'll go through a couple of them. But first, a little bit about me. I got to turn this on. All right, got to go back to the screen. All right, so about me. I've worked at East Central Schools since 1997, and that's actually when I met Lori. I'm a math teacher by trade. However, since January of 2012, I've been the director of technology. I've also been the head track coach since 2007 and the head cross-country coach since 2008. I have 2 adult children. My youngest is going to be a sophomore at the University of Minnesota. My oldest works at Medtronic. And I have a French bulldog. And fun fact, I've been a registered Boy Scout for over 35 years. And that's just a picture of my 2 kids and my son's fiance. All right, some of the different platforms out there. First, Google Meet. That's what we're using right now. And we'll talk about that one first. Another one that a lot of you have probably used is Zoom. And those are the 2 that I'm going to focus on today. GoGuardian also has a distance learning platform built into it right now. I'll talk about that a little bit, but I'm not going to go into it in detail. For those schools that use the 3CX phone system, you can also use distance learning in that, and I'll talk about that briefly as well. But there's others out there. GoToMeeting. I've been in several of those. WebExes, Skype, Microsoft Teams, Ring Central, which looks almost exactly like Zoom. Join Me, and there are many, many more. Facebook Messenger. I mean, kids talk through Snapchat, they talk through TikTok, they talk through Instagram, all sorts of different things that they are using. So first, Google Meet. That's what we're using right now. Now, there are 2 different versions of Google Meet. There's the free version, and there's the enterprise version. What we're using right now is the enterprise version. Free. You can have up to 100 participants per meeting, which for most of us, that's not a problem. Today, it's a little bit of a problem because we had over 130 in the opening session. With the free version, you can have it gives you a 60-minute time limit. However, there are captions. I don't know if you guys have seen that before, but in the white bar on the bottom, it says turn on captions. If you turn that on, you should be able to see exactly what I'm saying, which does help quite a bit. I don't know if you've used that feature before or not. As you can tell in the Meet right now, up at the top, it should say that it's being recorded. In the free version, you cannot record. In the enterprise version, it gives you up to 250 participants. It has an unlimited time limit for running your meeting. You can record in that. That's what we're using right now. It also has breakout rooms. They are in the process of working on that. It hasn't not been fully implemented yet, but they're saying it will be ready by school time. Something new that they've added is polling. So you could put a poll out there and ask. That's also in implementation right now, so it's not available currently, but it will be. Attendance tracking is also coming out with that. And you can live stream it, but only inside your domain. So if I was trying to stream this meeting, only people with East Central email addresses could view this. If you were trying to stream yours, only people from your school could view it. There are some cool extensions. One that I use is Nod. And if you have the link, as you can see, the link for the meeting is listed on the bottom here. As soon as my mouse moves off of that. If you click on Nod, you can actually get that. And that gives you the option of raising your hand. It can give you a thumbs up, a thumbs down. There's other cool things you can use. However, in order for you to see it, you also have to have it. And if you install it, you'll actually have to rejoin the meeting for it to be active. Another one is a Meet Mass Mute. This is not available in the web store. You actually have to go through GitHub to get it. And I believe that your Google admin will have to give you the ability to install it. Another cool one is visual effects. I'll just show you. I don't know if you can see mine or not. I'm going to stop presenting for a second here, if I can. And if I go in here and say I'm going to put bubbles on, so you might be able to see that there should be bubbles going around me now, which is a visual effect that is available. I could take that off. I could blur myself so I'm completely blurry. Flip myself. Could freeze it, inverse. There's a bunch of different ones that are available. One that Zoom has that's kind of nice is that green screen. I'll have to select a file first. Let me get a background quick for you. And I can do a green screen in Zoom or in Google Meet, which is not typically something most people can do. So now you should be able to see some sort of background behind me instead of the flag that was behind me. All right, I'm going to go back to casting this. All right, so those are some of the cool things that you can add by extensions. There are several more out there. I have not looked into all of them. There is also some things coming out, such as breakout rooms, which is an extension you can add. I do not know how well that's going to work as compared to what Google is making it for itself. Creating. You can create a Google Meet just by going to meet.google.com, or you can create a calendar event and add conferencing to it. I believe that John has already shared a video back in, March about that. So if you need access to that, let me know. I can get that to you. The nice thing is you only need the Chrome web browser to do this. So you have, if you're on a laptop, you have your camera, you have a microphone, and it's just the Chrome web browser. No additional software to install. If you are on your phone, so if you're on your phone or on an iPad, you will need to install some sort of app for that. And then here's just a link to some information about Google Meet that Google put out. If I open it up, you're not going to see that. It's just a PDF, or actually it's a Google slide that they put out. But you can look at that on your own. Any questions about Google Meet so far? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Okay, then I'll go on to Zoom. With Zoom, there is also a free version and an enterprise version. Fortunately, during the spring when the pandemic hit, Zoom kind of suspended free things and made all the enterprise options available. I don't know how long that's going to last. But with the free version, you can have up to 100 participants, which is nice. However, if you want to go more than 40 minutes, it's one-on-one. So only 2 people in there. Once you hit 3 people, it's a 40-minute time limit. as I said, right now they have suspended that 40-minute time limit for schools. Actually, for all accounts, I believe. They do give breakout rooms. I don't know if you've ever tried breakout rooms, but breakout rooms are awesome. Like I said, I've been in Boy Scouts for over 35 years. When we run our Zoom meetings, I'm using the breakout rooms to split the patrols apart so they can do their own separate meetings. So the other night I had 4 patrols meeting separately through Zoom with one Zoom meeting. And I could pop into any other rooms that I wanted to go to. It has a whiteboard feature. You can also give keyboard and mouse control to a participant. So if I want to say, hey, Lori, take control of my computer, I can give her control of that through Zoom. It has virtual backgrounds built in. It also has, some nice video backgrounds built in. You can add your own. The best thing that I love about Zoom is the waiting room. Not allowing people in until you are there. And that's a whole safety feature that they have built into it. You do have to turn that option on when you create the meeting. And there's a bunch of other features that are controlled by the host, such as chat. In Google Meet, it has the chat feature. There's no control over it. I mean, anyone can post anything they want. In Zoom, especially during my Scout meetings, I have it set so they can only chat directly to me. Because I have one Scout that will sit there and paste the same thing over and over and over. And I had probably about 1,000 lines of scouting.home, hashtag scouting at home in our first meeting. That's when I discovered I'm going to make it so he can only chat directly to me. And that eliminated that problem. Screen sharing. In Google Meet, I think anyone could take over the screen share. In Zoom, you can set it up so I have access to it only, or I can give a certain person access to it. If it's open to anybody, you can also have it set so that the host can stop the screen share and force theirs to be on top. Some enterprise features. It depends on the plan. There are different plans that are available for the enterprise. The meeting time limit, though, is 24 hours. I don't know of anyone that's going to use a Zoom meeting for 24 hours, but they made it that long. You could have up to 100 participants, 300, or 1,000, depending on what plan you're on. And those are all the premium plans that they have. They have the phone-in option. Google Meet also has that option. Right now, for the free version, they have suspended any calling in because of just the amount of use that Zoom has been getting since the pandemic hit. And this is kind of nice for your IT people. There's an admin feature so they could control something domain-wide. So for me, being the director of technology, I could set something up saying, you have to have this no matter what version you're on or what your meeting is. Cool thing, you could have a vanity URL, which means, hey, if I get that, I think this is the second level plan with the 300 participants. I could set it up so it's essential.zoom.us. And that also tells how many host providers you can have and stuff like that. But you have to have a minimum of 10 hosts for that to happen. The only issue that I see is you have to have additional software. You have to install something on your PC or on your Mac or on your Chromebook. The nice thing about the Chromebook side of it is if you're installing for students, your Google admin can force that install on all of the Chromebooks at once. And that's what I did with all of our student Chromebooks, is I just forced it so everybody has Zoom built into it already, and it automatically updates. But that is one downside to the PC and the Mac version. It does not automatically update. I went and looked at mine this morning, and my school laptop was at 5.0, and currently they're at 5.2 something. So I updated my Zoom. It does not automatically do it. And then Zoom has an info sheet as well. It's just another link to their website. It has some additional information that I didn't provide. Does anyone have questions about Zoom? Okay, nothing showing up in chat. No one's asking any questions there. Okay. GoGuardian. And like I said, I'm just going to briefly touch on GoGuardian. Right now, Amanda Thompson from Essential is running a session about GoGuardian. I know she's going to talk just briefly about the feature that they're adding on with the distance learning portion. Right now, you have to purchase it, but it's something that's brand new. It is available in GoGuardian Teacher for the schools that are using GoGuardian. Essential uses GoGuardian Teacher and Admin. And like I said, this video conferencing portion is new. It's a one-way lecture. So it'd be more like a webinar. I'm guessing that they could chat back to you through the chat feature, but it'd be more, hey, you're focused on whatever they're doing, and the teacher can take control of your screen and show you that, so you can't see anything else. Only the teacher could use the webcam in this version, and only the teacher has access to doing that one-way lecture. A student does not. And I'm assuming that the chat feature is still available through that, so they could communicate back to the teacher somehow. Your GoGuardian admin must turn that feature on. So they have to go into the admin settings, first have teachers, the classroom portion turned on, and then they have to hit another button to turn on that lecture portion. So it's not just as easy as saying, hey, well, GoGuardian's on, it's there. It actually has to be made available by your admin. Just curious, how many people actually use GoGuardian? Not seen a whole lot. I know Essential has GoGuardian for grades 3 through 12, which is what grades have Chromebooks. All right. Next, 3CX. This is a phone system. Actually, it's not a video conferencing system, but it's a phone system. And I say it's a phone system because Essential just installed this phone system. Rush City has been using this phone system for over a year. Pine City is going through the installation right now. Bram just got it installed. Mora got it installed recently. Ogilvy is on the docket to get it installed. Isle is working on getting it installed, and ECMEC, since they're hosted in Bram, also has this system. So those are the schools in ECMEC that have access to using this right now. You have to schedule a call through the 3CX web client to do it. You can do just an audio call, so it could be a conference call, or you can do video. And with the video, it could be a web meeting such as Google Meet or Zoom, or it can be just a webinar. There are some limits to the call. The big one being it's a max of 250 people per system. So that means, like at Essential, let's say that I'm running one and Lori's running one, Amanda's running one. The three of us could have a total maximum of 250 people using it at one time. So it's not 250 per call, it's 250 people for the entire school at once. There's also a phone-in option. I know when I set up mine, I set it up so, hey, they call the school's main number, they dial in a certain extension, which puts them into the audio call, and then they have a PIN number to actually be allowed into it. And that will work in conjunction with the video. They would just be an audio person. And I put just a little brief image here, but I'm going to actually share this to you so you can see it. This is the 3CX web client. Let's see. If I go to schedule conference, I can say, hey, I'm going to do it either audio or video. And when I hit video, it gives me the option down here of a web meeting or a classroom. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, now you can. And then I would actually have to email that out to people. I could just go to web meeting instead, and I could hit join now, and it's going to add that in there. And if I hit join now, I wonder if it's going to allow it because I've been using my camera twice. It is. Interesting. This is what it looks like. I could add another person into it just by clicking the button up here and saying, who do I want to add? I can add them by email. Could send a meeting link to somebody. It has all the other options just like we have here. It has that screen share option. You could share a PDF. You have a whiteboard option, and you can do a poll in it as well. You can also record that meeting. But I'm going to exit out of that just by, oops. I'll just exit out this way. Oops. So that is a 3CX system. Like I said, not many people have access to that, but you can use it if you are one of those schools that has that phone system. And the nice thing is I could send it to any of you and you could join into that without having to have any software. It goes based on the Chrome web browser as well. All right, like I said, there are other systems out there. There's the GoToMeeting, the Cisco WebEx, Skype, Teams, RingCentral, Join Me, and many, many more. But I want to show you some other cool things. I know someone else had talked about using web boards with video conferencing. I actually use an app called AWW, which is a web whiteboard. And I could actually cast that from another device. I'm using a second device here. I'm going to stop casting on this one. And I'm going to cast from, oops. I'm going to cast from my Chrome tablet instead. So now when I'm casting from my tablet, I actually have a stylus that I'm using, and I can write on it. And it works out really well. Being a math teacher, I like having this because I can actually do math on here and say, well, let's see. If I had 3x plus 7 is equal to 11, how do I solve it? I can actually show somebody, rather than just telling them how to do it, I can visually show it to them. And this works the same through Zoom. It works the same through Google Meet. I have not tried it with any of the others yet, but it is kind of a nice little web board app. The address from this is awwapp.com. And notice that I have a trial version that has expired, as you can see that right there. I don't remember how much it costs. I think it's like $7 or $8 a month if I want to get the full version. But I look at it as, why do I want to get the full version when I can just grab this? I can keep dragging my screen down and make a longer piece of paper. The trial version gives me the option of adding PDFs into it or adding second pages by clicking on the button down here in the lower left. Slide that back down here so you can see it. So that's one thing that I use quite a bit in my math classes when I am teaching a math class. The other thing is, since I'm using it on a tablet, I'm walking around the room and casting my screen through Chromecast. So I'm in the back of the room. I'm sitting next to a student. I'm not up in front of the classroom, which unfortunately now with the pandemic, we are kind of forced to do that. All right, anyone have any questions so far? None? All right, I'm gonna throw my presentation back up on here. All right. All right, so then some things that I want to mention as kind of a takeaway for you guys. Security tips. No matter what the platform, you have to worry about security. Like I said, on Zoom, I use the waiting room, which is huge because you don't want kids getting into the meeting before you, and then you wouldn't have any record of what's happening. They could be bullying each other. They could be, putting up inappropriate pictures, all sorts of different things. That is a link to a document. I will share that document so you can see that. And this is some video conferencing security tips. And this was in a magazine. I don't remember which one it was, but it came out June 25th of this year. And it's just got some good information in there. So like I said, if you go to my presentation, that is a link. You just click on it and it gives you some things. Encryption is important because you don't want anyone to steal stuff. As you can see, the video encryption there. It talks about some other important things you want to worry about. Always using the newest version of the software, which is right here. It talks about that. Downloading, conference clients directly from the manufacturer. Don't use a link unless you go directly to their website to get it. Be familiar with who can record. And that's a big thing. They say do not record your meetings with students, especially because you have to worry about students. This one is being recorded for educational purposes, so you can go back and watch it, or it can be shared with others that have not seen it before. Big thing, don't share your link in a public forum. In other words, don't go ahead and put your link on Twitter or on Facebook or on your school website. Share it to the people that need it. That was one of the big, huge concerns about, everyone going virtual back in March. People were Zoom bombing is what they were calling it. So you have to be careful. Use the meeting ID rather than a personal ID with Zoom especially. I'm sure that you've gone through the Zoom settings and looked at those for those that have used Zoom. I can show those to you if you want to look at those. Like I said earlier, disable sharing for all attendees except for the host, unless you need to open it up for them. Use that waiting room feature. That's something that's big. I have my Zoom settings, so if I remove somebody from the meeting, they cannot get back in. And that's a setting in Zoom itself. So I can show you where that is quickly. Let me log into my Zoom. So when I'm in there, I'm going to go to the settings. I've got meeting room enabled, which is huge. That's something you need to have. Require a passcode. You want to have some sort of password on there. Let's see, where was it? Host video, participant video. Joining before host, that is turned off. That's where that waiting room feature comes in. I have it set so they automatically are muted when they enter the meetings, typically because they have their dogs or their cats or whatever walking around, little brothers and sisters. Chat feature, I do have it enabled. I do have private chat turned off so they can't message other people. I have it set to automatically save any chat things that are on there. Let's see, where was it? Who can share? I have it set right now to host only. I have my whiteboard turned off because I don't want the kids turning the whiteboard on and just doing all sorts of weird stuff. I do have remote control turned on, nonverbal feedback, such as things you could use, the thumbs up, thumbs down is turned on in there. Meeting reactions, I have those turned on. This one right here, allowing the participants to rejoin. So remove participants to rejoin, I have that turned off. Because if I remove them, I don't want them back in. If they somehow get kicked out, or if they accidentally close a tab or whatever, they can rejoin themselves. I also have it set so they can rename themselves. Sometimes that's kind of scary. But that's one of the expectations, hey, tell your kids, I expect to know who you are based on your name that's on there. So those are just some of the things in there. But go through the settings. All right, I'm going to go back to here. Another takeaway that I want you guys to have, a school should be consistent. And what do I mean by that? I mean, only use one platform. East Central decided through the technology committee that we were going to use just the Zoom platform. So at that point in time, I blocked Google Meet out from all students being able to even join a meeting. So the only thing they could use was Zoom. And part of the reason was because at that time, Google Meet, anyone could start a meet through the school. So a student could start their own meeting. We didn't want that being put on us. They could do their own Facebook Messenger chat or Snapchat chat or whatever through those platforms, but we did not want to be responsible for them being able to start a meeting through us. It also helps students and parents not get confused as to what they need to use. Right now, East Central has decided that we are going to go with Zoom again this fall. Yes, we're meeting in class or in school, but if we have to switch to hybrid or distance learning, we are going to stick with Zoom. That was decided back in July by the technology committee when we met. What's best? Which one of those is best? Honestly, that is up to your school to decide. Some schools said, hey, we're going to go with Google Meet. Some schools said, we're going Zoom. It doesn't make a difference. Just be consistent throughout the entire district, saying, we're using this, and go with it from there. All right. Any questions that anyone has? Now's the time to ask. Anyone have any questions? Feel free to type them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. All right, Dakota says it seems straightforward. I think it pretty much is. It's just really getting through and look at those settings that you can control. A reminder that just came out to everyone is make sure you go in and fill out the eval. And at the end of the eval, I believe you'll get another link to go ahead and get your participation form that you can turn in for your clock hours. All right, well, if no one has any questions, hey, just think 4 more weeks and school starts. So hope everyone has a great rest of their summer. And I'll stick around if anyone has any questions. No problem. Thanks, Laurie. Are you in your office, by the way? Okay. I'm up in the ITV rooms if you want to come up.
Thanks much, Bill.
Oh, you're welcome.